My brothers and sisters in Christ, in today's gospel passage, we hear the setup for the Sermon on the Plain, but also ultimately Jesus calling his disciples around himself, and from his disciples calling forth 12 and naming them as apostles. This is, of course, a very big moment for the formation of the nascent church. Not given birth yet because Jesus hasn't gone through his passion, death, and resurrection, but he's forming from the clay, if you will, the structures of his church that he is to leave. And this is very important. It calls to mind for me a reflection I read a few days ago from a priest that I know that spoke very much in the present situation of something I've spoken of over recent years as we look to how we think as Catholics in the church. And that is an important step we need to take, especially in this day of the pervasiveness of the internet and of social media. We're connected in a new way, but we need to not let this connectedness overwhelm the ordering that Christ has given us. And what do I mean by this? Well, the priest I'm referring to was reflecting upon the fact that Pope Leo has given us a gift so far, and that he's been relatively quiet as a pope. And by that, it doesn't mean he's been inactive, but he hasn't been prone to big speeches. He hasn't done anything in terms of show. He hasn't created a lot of big news to digest by the world. And in some ways, not only is it because he's a new pope, but it's also a gift because we need to disconnect a little bit from papal celebrity. And what do I mean by that? Well, obviously, we give great adherence to the office of the Pope as the vicar of Christ, first amongst the apostles of brother bishops. But there's a balance, and this isn't just about popes. We can do this in terms of social media priests that we follow or the people we compare. And we become a church that we just follow random people or celebrity. But instead, we're very hierarchically gathered. That is the church that Christ has left. And so we see he gathers disciples around himself. Not everyone in his time is a disciple, but he has the band of disciples, and from them he chooses 12. And from there we see Jesus continues to minister himself. There's other things that his apostles do, and other things that he sends more than just the apostles. He sends the other disciples forth. And so it is in the church that we see today, despite the billion plus followers, that we still are hierarchically ordered. We think first and foremost, yes, we have a pope and then bishops and priests and deacons and laity and religious and all this. Yes, we all have different sets of lungs, if you will, in the church. We bring different gifts to bear, but we're ordered in this way. And it's most concretely in our life as Catholics, first of all, in our parish church. But even before that step, we always start with the domestic church, our households, our families. There already we have a communion of faith that is formed in the home, a place where love is experienced and shared. God is known in the heart of the family. But then people are gathered into parish churches under the jurisdiction of a pastor who himself is put forward by the bishop. And the bishops themselves are the descendants of the apostles, and they're all united in communion with the Holy Father in Rome. So while it's good that we can, watch videos of others and hear the insights of people around the world, it's good that we're plugged in. You can flip on, TV and watch a papal mass online that people of previous generations couldn't do. Those are wonderful things, but we can't let them take us to a place of just kind of virtual Catholic life, of detached living. Instead, Jesus himself modeled a very hierarchically structured place, and not just for the usage of authority, but a way of being ordered, and a way that community is formed and lived very tangibly, very incarnated in our midst. And so most of us day to day don't see the Pope. Most of us day to day even don't see our bishop, but we can experience one another in the pews. We're gathered at Mass at least every Sunday together with the pastor of a parish and the other clergy. And from that, we unite with the diocesan church in different ways, and so on. But we experience the household of God in a very earthy way, and it is meant to be so. This is why we can't just on Sunday sit on our couch and watch TV, Mass on TV, and we can't just follow whichever YouTube priest that we like the most. But instead, we are called to be gathered as church in a very concrete way. And this isn't a burden. It's actually the way that Christ has given us. And it's a way so that we may know love not in the abstract, but that we may concretely live it out together. And for that, we should give thanks. May God bless you all.